Is there a Santa? My kids have asked me that. There's something special and magical about believing that a fat man with a red suit and a white beard flies around the world delivering presents for everyone who made it to the nice list. In the early 2000s, our family had 2 firm believers and 2 right at the brink. December was a flurry of making sure that the believers stayed believers and the older ones held on as long as they could. We decorated the house with lights and garland. We sang Christmas tunes. I bought a Christmas tree, usually from the bargain bin at the Home Depot parking lot. We wrote letters to Santa, and sometimes we sat on his lap at the mall and whispered our desires in his ear. We shopped for just the right gifts. Correction. My wife shopped for all of our gifts. She did all the shopping. She managed a store at the mall, and she knew everyone there. And she'd spend an hour or 5 a few times a week making sure that on Christmas morning the kids had a great big pile of gifts. That's just who she is. We buy 2 sets of wrapping paper, one for the presents from us, one for the presents from Santa. My contribution is to wrap, tag, and hide all the presents from Santa with my secret stash of second wrapping paper. I change the handwriting on the tags so the kids don't recognize that it's me. And then on Christmas Eve, the kids put out a plate of cookies and milk and another plate of vegetables for the reindeer. The kids write a quick thank you note to the jolly old elf, thanking him for the presents and reminding him to share the vegetables with Rudolph and the others. The kids hit the sack pretty early on Christmas Eve. That's good because then I eat the cookies and I drink the milk and I throw the vegetables out on the lawn. Later I'll tell my kids, they make such a mess when they eat. I write a quick thank you note and leave it by the empty plate. And then I get all the gifts that I've wrapped from Santa and I place them around the tree, creating a really impressive display. We create this illusion every year to keep that belief in Santa alive, because we know that as long as the kids will let us, it's a good thing, and someday that magic is going to be gone. The best part is on Christmas morning. The kids wake up way before they've had enough sleep, and they come down to our bedroom and wake us. The room that had only a few things under the tree when they went to bed is now filled with presents that somehow arrived in between the time they went to sleep and what seems like about 45 minutes by the time they woke up. They squeal when they see the cookie crumbs on the empty plate and the vegetables on the lawn, telltale signs that Santa had come. My wife and I grab a cup of coffee and we enjoy the magic of the season. But in 2005, things were different. On December 2nd of that year, my wife was driving to work at 7:30 in the morning and had what we thought was a massive heart attack. She called me, intense chest pains. She was frantic on the phone, screaming. I called 911 and they sent help. The ambulance picked her up on the side of the road, and I found her car parked in a construction parking lot in front of a building that would eventually become a Buca di Beppo. Her coffee was still in the cup holder, warm. Her purse was still on the passenger seat. There was paramedic trash on the ground outside of her car, gauze and empty wrappers and bandages from other instruments that were sealed for safety. I met her at the hospital emergency room. She had not had a heart attack, but she was still in immense pain and the doctors didn't know what was wrong. After a few days of testing, they found out that her spleen had burst. It had to come out. Now, the thing you need to know about a spleen is they don't burst for no reason. They burst because of trauma, usually a car accident or a sports injury or getting beat up. And my wife had none of these. Google is not your friend in these times. You quickly find out that if your spleen bursts and you don't have any trauma, 97% of the time, you have cancer. So as my wife slept in the hospital, I Googled every possible variation of her symptoms, trying to get an answer other than, I'm sorry, your wife has cancer. And I wasn't having much luck. While diagnosing the reason, the doctors tested everything they could. And every negative test broke my heart just a little bit because that was another step closer to a yes for cancer. When visiting hours ended at night, I would sit in my car and I would beat on the steering wheel and scream, "She's going to be okay. she's going to be okay. She's going to be okay. And I wasn't really sure that she was actually going to be okay. You know, Google. 2 weeks later, she got a blood clot, and she ended up having 2 surgeries in December. Not exactly a December to remember. A week before Christmas, they finally tested for leukemia and lymphoma, and to our surprise, both of those tests came out negative. There was no cancer. She was in the 3% whose spleen burst for what looks like no reason at all, and she was going to recover. Just like that, it was over. While my wife was in the hospital all this time, I had been working full-time, and we had 4 kids in school. I worked, I tended to the needs of my kids, and then after they went to bed, I went to the hospital to spend time with her. I had in-laws in town, but it was really difficult to manage. There was no shopping done by my wife. There weren't 2 sets of wrapping paper. Instead of Christmas lights, we saw ambulance lights. Garland had been replaced by hospital tubes and IVs. Christmas music was the beep, beep of a heart monitor. We were wholly unprepared for Christmas. I mean, I had barely gone to the Home Depot to get the last Charlie Brown Christmas tree for our house. We knew that the kids still expected Santa because they still believed that he would come. On Christmas Eve, I was talking to my wife about what it was a kind of a Christmas miracle that she was alive. And we were trying to figure out how we were going to make Christmas happen for the kids. Maybe gift cards, or maybe cash, or maybe we could do it like another day. I hadn't really thought about anything other than tending to her needs for a month. So I was at a loss. But someone had been thinking about her, and she had made it to their nice list. I got a call from my sister-in-law. A big van had pulled up in front of our house. Friends and coworkers had banded together. They made some calls, and they got everybody to either donate money or spend some time shopping. And they went door to door in the mall where my wife was loved, and they solicited donations. Everyone loved her there, so that was pretty easy. They wrapped the presents and tagged them for my kids. Then they packed them in a makeshift sleigh, and they drove them to my house after dark when they knew that the kids were asleep, and they unloaded Christmas gifts for our family. Gifts we had never expected. Gifts I never could have managed on my own, and gifts I never imagined possible. On Christmas morning, the room was filled from one end to the other. Colorful, vibrant gifts in assorted sizes and shapes. A stack of presents for every child, wrapped in paper they had never seen before, and labeled with handwriting they couldn't identify. I got a cup of coffee, and we started our yearly ritual, one person short. The kids loved it. They held up what they opened so I could take pictures to share with Mom, who was still in the hospital. My wife had a stack that she would open later. I made a little breakfast, and we enjoyed Christmas morning because Santa had come. My wife was released and came home from the hospital later that afternoon, and she opened her presents as we enjoyed her presence for the first time in a month. A Christmas miracle indeed. Is there a Santa? My answer is yes. He may not look like the color that kids color in, the picture that kids color in coloring books, but he's real, and my family believes. Thanks.
Come Santa Claus, come Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane.
He's got a bag that's filled with toys for
Boys and girls again.